Hey everyone, and welcome. Verbs are kind of like the engine of your sentences. If you're writing an essay or really just trying to get your point across, using them correctly can change everything. So today, we're going to break down the fundamentals to help you really master them. Let's dive right in.
Okay, let's just jump in with a classic. How many times have you heard this one? I should have went to the store. Does that sound just a little off to you? You've probably heard it a million times, maybe you've even said it yourself, and hey, no judgment here. By the end of our time together, you'll know exactly why it's such a common mistake, and more importantly, how to nail it every single time.
So, here's our game plan for today. We're going to start with the 4 essential forms that literally every verb has. From there, we'll get to know the super predictable regular verbs, and then we'll meet their wild, rebellious cousins, the irregular verbs. And to wrap it all up, we'll put your new skills to the test. Sound good? Let's do it.
First things first, the absolute building blocks. To really get a handle on how verbs work, we have to look at their core structure. Believe it or not, every single verb out there, from is to photosynthesize, has 4 basic forms. If you can get these down, you're building a rock-solid foundation for really powerful communication.
Now, the official, kind of nerdy name for these forms is the principal parts. But think of them like the DNA of a verb. Seriously, from just these 4 little parts, we can build every single tense you can think of: past, present, future, the whole shebang. They're basically the source code for speaking and writing clearly.
And here they are in action. Take a look at this chart. In the first column, you've got the base form. That's the verb at its most basic, like sing or work. Next up, the present participle, which is usually that ing form. But now, pay close attention to these last 2. The past form, like sang, it can stand all by itself. It's for a finished action. But that last one, the past participle, like sung, that's the tricky one. It almost always needs a little buddy, a helping verb, like have, has, or had in front of it. This tiny difference, honestly, it's the key to everything we're talking about today.
Okay, let's move on and see how this all works in the real world. We're going to start with the easy ones, thank goodness. The regular verbs. These guys are the predictable, rule-following good guys of the grammar world. They follow one simple, beautiful rule.
And what is that magic rule? Well, it's pretty simple. A regular verb forms both its past tense and its past participle just by adding a d or an ed to the end. That is it. No curveballs, no surprises. Just nice, easy, and predictable.
And you can see for yourself just how consistent this pattern is. Check out these examples, like use or attack. They follow the exact same rule. Use becomes used, attack becomes attacked, suppose becomes supposed. You just tack on that d or ed ending, and boom, you've just traveled back in time, grammatically speaking.
So here's a super common mistake to watch out for. It's really easy, especially when you're just talking, to leave that ending off. You hear people say she used to work here all the time, right? But the correct standard form is used to. Same thing with supposed to. That little d sound at the end really matters. It's what makes it correct.
All right, we've dealt with the predictable ones. Now, it's time to meet the rebels, the mavericks, the rule breakers of the grammar world, irregular verbs. These are the verbs that make English interesting and, yeah, sometimes a little bit tricky.
And this slide right here shows the difference perfectly. Regular verbs, they're a straight shot. You walk, you walked. Simple. But irregular verbs? Oh no, they take the scenic route. You don't singed, you sang. They completely ignore the ed rule and just decide to do their own thing. So how do they change? Well, they've got a few different moves. Some of them like to change up their vowels, like ring becomes rang. Others switch out a consonant, like make becomes made. Some get really fancy and change both vowels and consonants, like bring becoming brought. And then, just to keep us on our toes, you have the really weird ones that don't change at all, like burst.
And here's the tough love part. Unlike regular verbs, there's no single, easy trick for these. This is just a tiny sample of the most common ones. The only way to really get them down is to get familiar with them. You just have to learn them and commit them to memory.
And now, let's bring it all back to that sentence from the beginning. This is, without a doubt, the #1 mistake people make with irregular verbs, confusing the simple past form with the past participle. You would never say Carlos has went, because that helping verb has is crying out for the past participle, which is gone. So it's always Carlos has gone to the mall. See? That's the secret.
Okay, you've learned about the 4 principal parts, you've met the regular crew, and you've stared down the irregulars. Now it's time to put all that awesome knowledge into practice. You ready for a quick challenge?
Let's see what you've got.
All right, here we go. After she finished the race, she drank 2 glasses of water. The action is clearly in the past. So what's the correct form of the verb drink? Take a second and think about it. And the answer is drank, of course. Drink is an irregular verb, and its simple past tense is drank. She drank 2 glasses of water. Sounds perfect, doesn't it? Awesome job if you got that right.
Let's try one more. And this is a pretty incredible true story. Diana Nyde swam 60 miles from the Bahamas all the way to Florida. It's another action that was completed in the past. How should the verb swim change here?
You got it. The correct answer is swam. Swim is another one of those classic irregular verbs, and its simple past form is swam. Diana Nyad swam 60 miles. What an absolutely amazing accomplishment. And now you can describe it using perfect grammar.
So at the end of the day, why does all this stuff really matter? Well, as it says here, using the standard forms of verbs is actually super important. It shows your readers, whether it's a teacher or a boss, that you're a careful and credible communicator. It just makes you sound like you know your stuff. So the next time you hear someone say, I shoulda went, a little light will go off in your head, and you'll know the secret that helping verb have needs the past participle. It should always be, I should have gone. And now you know why.